In Avengers Infinity War, Thanos wages war on our superheroes as he hunts down the Infinity Stones for his master plan of rebalancing the universe with the power of the Infinity Gauntlet. Yippee-ki-yay, movie lovers, it's Jan here, and right now 5 of the 6 Infinity Stones are accounted for in the MCU, which means the whereabouts of the Soul Stone is still unknown. So today I'm breaking down in detail how, where and when we'll likely see the Soul Stone in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'm examining evidence for the movies and theories you can see on screen now, and there's timecode links in the video description if you want to jump forward to any particular theory. If you've just discovered my channel, I do regular Marvel and superhero videos, and today I'm starting a new Avengers giveaway. To enter, tap the bell and let me know in the comments below where you think the Soul Stone will appear. By the way, I'll be announcing the winner of my Black Panther giveaway later in this video. Spoiler warning, I'll be talking about Black Panther, previous MCU movies and speculating on upcoming movies including Infinity War, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Captain Marvel and Avengers 4. There were plenty of popular theories before Black Panther was released that the movie would reveal the Soul Stone was in Wakanda. If you've seen the film, you know that didn't happen. However, there's still a chance that the stone is hidden somewhere in the African nation. We know from Black Panther's prologue that Wakanda's vibranium came from a meteorite that hit the Earth and then affected the plant life. There's quite a convincing theory that the Soul Stone is buried deep in the centre of the meteorite, and it's that Infinity Stone which gives the heart-shaped herb its extraordinary properties. This Soul Stone theory could also explain why the plant gives the person who ingests it access to the ancestral plane and the ability to communicate with the souls of the dead. By the way, the Soul Stone endowing the heart-shaped herb with its powers would also fit the Thanos theory, and I'll explain what that means later for those who don't already know. One potential problem with this theory is that the Soul Stone is orange-coloured, whereas the heart-shaped herb is purple. However, the colours of the Infinity Stones and the powers they grant do not always have to match. Scarlet Witch, for example, derives her powers from the yellow Mind Stone, but her powers are red. And when we first encounter the Mind Stone in Loki's scepter, it looks blue, but later when it's broken open, the stone's true yellow colour is revealed. There is a potential wrinkle in this theory though, which is that Black Panther director Ryan Coogler has specifically said about the Soul Stone that, "I love the Infinity Stones as much as any comic book fan, it's just Wakanda already has its thing, which is vibranium. For us that was special enough, so to throw in something like another special thing didn't feel right. It felt like we should stick with our one MacGuffin for the country and explore that. And Marvel Studios was never really interested in putting a stone in there either." Now, that makes total sense, as the movie gave us an awesome introduction to Wakanda, and it had a lot to pack into its runtime, so if they'd had to also include and explain the Soul Stone, it might have all felt like a bit too much and taken the shine away from the main story just in order to set up a future story. But let's remember that Coogler is only talking about his own Black Panther solo movie here, and so Marvel might still choose to reveal that the Soul Stone is in Wakanda in their next film, Avengers Infinity War. Okay, let's get into the Infinity Stone theories for that movie. We've seen quite a bit of footage of Thanos sending a huge army of Outriders to invade Wakanda, and because we know he's trying to complete his Infinity Gauntlet, it seems highly possible that he's after an Infinity Stone. Among a range of Infinity War Lego sets are 2 different Infinity Stone scenes set in Wakanda. In one set, you can see one of Thanos' Black Order, Proxima Midnight, trying to steal an orangey-looking stone. A leaked description for the Lego set also specifically says that Falcon is diving down to save the Soul Stone. While in another Lego set, we can clearly see Captain America and Black Widow defending a blue Infinity Stone against an Outrider. Now, you have to bear in mind that these are toy sets and they might be actual scenes or fairly close to actual scenes, or the toy designers may have just mixed up different elements from the movie to create an enticing product to sell. I do think we'll probably get at least one Infinity Stone turning up in Wakanda in Infinity War. However, it might just be the Mind Stone, because we know from the trailer that the Black Order attempt to extract that from Vision's forehead, so the Avengers may take him to Wakanda for treatment so it can be removed without killing him. We also know from the Avengers Infinity War Prelude comic and the Black Panther post-credits scene that Shuri has developed tech in Wakanda that removed the Hydra programming from Bucky's brain, and I think she may well find a way to treat Vision as well. However, we can't ignore that Thanos may simply be invading Wakanda for access to all that precious vibranium and tech, which T'Challa was about to announce to the world in the first Black Panther end credit scene. Another alternate location for the Soul Stone in Infinity War is the red planet Nidavellir. This planet, which is inhabited by dwarves, is where Mjolnir was originally forged, and in Infinity War it looks like Thor travels there with the Guardians to create a new weapon. There's actually a Lego set of a scene from the planet, and it shows an Infinity Stone being used for what it calls a space forge. It's from the scene in the trailer where we briefly see Thor straining to control a machine. This Infinity Stone might or might not be the Soul Stone, but I think it's interesting that Thor's hammer Mjolnir was, to quote Odin, forged in the heart of a dying star. And if that heart of a dying star is the location of the Soul Stone, this would also fit the Thanos theory. Okay, before we get too attached to the idea that the Soul Stone must either be in Wakanda or somewhere else in Avengers Infinity War, let's look at some theories that Marvel could be saving the Soul Stone for use in a film after Infinity War. The next film after Avengers Infinity War is Ant-Man and the Wasp, and what we know so far is that the movie will travel to the quantum realm. We haven't seen very much of the quantum realm yet in the MCU, with just glimpses in Doctor Strange and the first Ant-Man movie. So, if Marvel felt they wanted the story and box office payoff from the reveal of a new Infinity Stone in Ant-Man and the Wasp, rather than Avengers Infinity War, the quantum realm would be a good place to explain where the Soul Stone's been all these years. And there's actually a precedent in the comics for an Infinity Stone existing at the subatomic level. In a 1980s Incredible Hulk storyline, Bruce Banner travelled to the subatomic world of Kai, where he encountered an Elder of the Universe called the Gardener. At that time, the Gardener was in possession of an Infinity Gem, and had travelled to Kai in order to keep the power of the gem away from humanity. I certainly wouldn't expect this story to play out exactly like this in Ant-Man and the Wasp. However, Scott Lang and Hope Van Dyne could encounter a new Elder of the Universe who controls or has access to the Soul Stone. After all, the Elders of the Universe have already been introduced in the MCU in the form of the Collector and the Grand Master. And it looks like the quantum realm will play a crucial role in linking all the movies between Infinity War and Avengers 4, because the subatomic world that Ant-Man and the Wasp explores will also connect specifically to the Captain Marvel movie and the rest of the MCU. Quantum physicist Dr. Spiros Michalakis, who worked as a consultant on Ant-Man, has confirmed this link between the movies, and has also suggested that once superheroes like Ant-Man and the Wasp and perhaps Captain Marvel begin to understand quantum code, they'll be able to access powers that are considered impossible in the normal world. For instance, they could in theory manipulate the physical laws of the universe like space and time to create things like black holes. And such powers would clearly be very useful if you're up against the likes of Thanos, but it really makes me wonder whether the Soul Stone could be connected to these potential new powers and abilities. And finally, we come to the mother of all MCU movies, the epic finale to everything that Marvel Studios has been building to, Avengers 4. So will we have to wait till then to see the Soul Stone? Well, we know from various set photos that it looks like the movie will incorporate time travel. And that ties back nicely to why the movies Ant-Man and the Wasp and Captain Marvel have been placed between Infinity War and Avengers 4, as the exploration of the quantum realm in those two films could open up the ability for other Avengers beyond Doctor Strange to mess with the timeline and potentially prevent Thanos attaining supremacy. And it's possible that Avengers 4 could be an attempt by the Avengers to recover the Soul Stone before Thanos gets to it first. Okay, I can't finish without mentioning that it's still possible the Soul Stone has been hiding in plain sight ever since the first Thor movie. In other words, it's located in the middle of Heimdall's armour, or even in his eyes, which is one possible reason for his glowing orange eyes and the fact he can see trillions of souls. Heimdall having the Soul Stone also ties in nicely with the Thanos theory, which I mentioned earlier, that all the objects holding the Infinity Stones in the MCU will eventually spell out the word Thanos. So far we've had the Tesseract, a T for the Space Stone, the Ether, an A for the Reality Stone, Doctor Strange's Eye of Agamotto is held on a necklace, giving an N for the Time Stone, the Orb, which contains the Power Stone, provides an O, and Loki's Scepter, which held the Mind Stone, gives us an S. So Heimdall, Heart-Shaped Herb, or Heart of a Dying Star would all provide the missing H for the Thanos theory. If the Soul Stone were in Heimdall, then Thanos could take it when he attacks the Asgardian ship after Thor Ragnarok. And if Thanos had to kill Heimdall to get the stone, that might lead to Loki offering Thanos the Tesseract in order to spare the rest of the Asgardians. Now I want to know where you think the Soul Stone is going to appear, and do you have any predictions on how it will be used? Let me know what you think in the comments below, and make sure you also subscribe for your chance to win my Avengers Funko Pop giveaway. The winner of my Black Panther giveaway is on screen right now, so if that's you, make sure you private message me with your details. If you liked this, I really appreciate your support, so hit the thumbs up button and share the video. Plus you can tap the bell to get all my new videos as soon as I post them. And check out either of the links here for more Marvel and Black Panther. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Yippee-ki-yay, movie lovers!